Good evening. It is Tuesday, May the 12th, 2020. We're on day, 50 or 60 something of this coronavirus lockdown. Wow, a bunch of people already right off the bat. Craig Salee, my brother is here. My brother made it for the beginning of the show. Thanks, brother. Mom, Dad, Janelle, Doug, Jamie Callahan, Jimmy Blankenship. We got all kinds of people tuned in from all over the country. I appreciate this greatly. It has been a rough day. Not really. It's been a rough day, though, here. Where do I start? I have spent the majority, not the majority, I did do some work, I promise, producer. I spent a large amount of time today arguing with people on the internet over the validity of 80s music acts and if they belonged or didn't belong in a voting competition bracket. So a friend of mine from back in the day who also believes that in times like these we need some nonsense in his missing of sports, he has created a public Facebook group called Bracket of Champions. And his name is John Barber. If you are an Orlando person, you might know John Barber. And he has created an 80s music March Madness style bracket with 64 artists, bands, performers. And tomorrow or the next day the voting begins, but today he released all of the bands or all the acts. And so I spent the good portion of the day crazily arguing with people about why certain bands should or should not have been on the list. For instance, New Order was left off the list. I think that is a giant miss. Anyways, this is a public Facebook group. If you're remotely interested, go look for it. It's called Bracket of Champions. And I don't know, could be fun. I had a fun time today arguing with people about bands because I love music and I have a special place in my heart for 80s music. So this was a very, very close thing to me. All right, so that's that. If you watched the show yesterday, I was talking about a bag of pretzels that I ate a lot of, and it gave me an upset stomach because I ate too many of them. Because with anything, any good thing can be bad if you ingest too much of it. So these pretzels are the best pretzels I have ever eaten in my life. And I said the name of the pretzel. And friends of mine who are tuned in here, who live in South Carolina, they went and found these pretzels. Now, let me explain something. Here in Colorado, they're $8, they're $9. They're expensive pretzels. Well, this is good. My battery died. Thank you for alerting me to the fact that my battery was about to die. Let's hope the battery doesn't die on the actual camera. Stand by. Stand by, kids. All right. Well, that's the beauty of a live broadcast. About the pretzels again. Dadgummit. You said the pretzels were $8 or $9 in Colorado. Well, thank you for letting me know that my battery was dying. Died. Yesterday it was full. Okay. We'll have to investigate that. This is what happens when you argue on the internet with people all day. Pretzels. Okay, sorry about that. Pretzels. Dot's Homestyle Pretzels. My friends, Doug and Janelle, who live in South Carolina, found the $8 or $9 pretzels for $5. So my question was, are we really taxing imports from North Dakota so much that a bag of pretzels is $3 more? If anyone knows Governor Jared Polis, get him on the line. Let's figure this out, because there's no reason why the same bag of pretzels should be $3 more. Can you still hear me? Do we still have sound? Now I'm nervous. I can see it. I'm going to watch the levels. I can see them over there. All right. So that was the thing about the pretzels. Where was I going next? I was nonchalantly going about my day thinking I had everything taken care of for the show here tonight, which is Reading Things with a Southern Accent, episode 2020, episode 44. Episode 44. And about a half hour ago, I looked up and I was like, I should do my little bit of research that I printed, and I realized that the book that I was going to read tonight was not a Dr. Seuss book. The book was not written by Dr. Seuss. I had two books over here, and I was like, I'm going to read these books, but check this out. Here. I have these books. They have Dr. Seuss, The Cat in the Hat, on this book and on this book, both of them. Backs of the books have The Cat in the Hat. So I was like, cool, these are Dr. Seuss books. I'm in the clear. Well, Fred and Ted Go Camping was written by P.D. Eastman. Can't read that one. Summer, which I thought, I've never heard of that Dr. Seuss book, but I was just going to go with it, was written by a woman named Alice Lowe. Can't read that either. So I freaked out. I ran into the house. I dove into the kid's closet because she has some books on a bookshelf underneath all her clothes in there. I started rifling through, hoping that maybe I would find something, and I did. I found two Dr. Seuss books. One is If I Ran the Circus. Two is 10 Apples Up on Top. Thank goodness for that. So tonight we're going to read from, I've got into crispy Parmesan keto. Lindsay, you're holding out on me. Crispy Parmesan. Those are those things you buy at Whole Foods over there by the cheese section. They're in a little plastic bin. Those are quite tasty. All right, so last night I rewatched the show, and I did this about 40 times. And I laid in my bed and I laughed at that. Anyways, Dr. Seuss, if you were not watching yesterday, born March 2nd, 1904, died September 24th, 1991. He wrote more than 60 books. He sold over 600 million copies, translated into 20 languages, and he won an Oscar for Best Documentary Feature in 1947. So Dr. Seuss is a bit of a legend. If I Ran the Zoo, excuse me, which is tonight's book, was written in 1950. The book is written in anapaestic, I think that's the word, tetrameter, which is Dr. Seuss's usual verse type. It tells the story of a child named Gerald McGrew who, when visiting a zoo, finds the animals. The exotic animals are not good enough. He says that if he ran the zoo, he would let all of the current animals free and find new, more bizarre, and exotic ones. Fun fact. I like to throw a little history in here because I like to make this educational. I like to make people learn something, allow people to learn something through this. If I Ran the Zoo is often credited with the first printed modern English appearance of the word nerd. Although the word is not used in its modern context, it is simply the name of an otherwise uncharacterized imaginary creature. So there you go. Dr. Seuss created the word nerd. And without any more rambling or babbling from me, I will... Excuse me. I noticed last night my stomach made a noise. And since the microphone is down here, it totally picked it up. I wear the microphone down here because when I go and I swallow, it was picking it up if I wore it way up here. So I moved it down here. But now it's picking up my stomach noises. Here we go. This book is for my dad, Big Ted of Springfield, the finest man I'll ever know. If I Ran the Zoo. Dr. Seuss. In all the whole town, the most wonderful spot is behind Sneelock's store in a big vacant lot. It's just the right spot for my wonderful plans, said young Morris McGurk. If I clean up the cans... Now, a fellow like me, said young Morris McGurk, could get rid of this junk with half an hour's work. I could yank up those weeds and chop down a dead tree and haul off those old cars. There are just 2 or 3, and then the whole place would be ready, you see. Again, if you have the book at home, you should read along because I can't really show you the pictures. It doesn't make sense. All ready to put up the tents for my circus. I think, oh my goodness, I've just realized that I Googled If I Ran the Zoo, which is a Dr. Seuss book, and I'm reading If I Ran the Circus. So forget everything I said about the book, and maybe I'll find If I Ran the Zoo, and we can talk about the nerd one day later, because I'm an idiot. All ready to put up the tents for my circus. I think I will call it Circus McGurkus. The Circus McGurkus, the world's greatest show on the face of the earth or wherever you go. The Circus McGurkus, the cream of the cream. The Circus McGurkus, the circus supreme. The Circus McGurkus, colossal, stupendous, astounding, fantastic, terrific, tremendous. I'll bring in my acrobats, jugglers, and clowns from 1,033 faraway towns to the place that you'll see. Stand by. To the place that you'll see them in, ladies and gents, right behind Sneelock's store in the great McGurk tents. And I don't suppose old Mr. Sneelock will mind when he suddenly has a big circus behind. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends. He might even help out doing small odds and ends. Doing little odd jobs, he could be of some aid, such as selling balloons and pink lemonade. I think 500 gallons will be about right, and then I'll be ready for opening night. What an opening night. What a night. What a night. I'll hoist up curtains. The crowds will crowd in, and my circus McGurkus will promptly begin. With a welcoming toot of my welcoming horn, by my horn tooting apes from the jungles of Jorn, where the very best horn tooting apes are all born, 'cause the very fresh air there is fine for their lungs. And some of those fellows have 2 or 3 tongues. This way, step right in. This way, ladies and gents. My sideshow starts here in the first of my tents. When you see what goes on, you'll say no other circus is half as the great circus of the circus McGurkus. Here on stage 1, from the ocean of Ulf, is a sight most amazing, a walrus named Rolf, who can stand on one whisker, this wonderful Rolf, on the top of 5 balls, 2 for tennis, 3 golf. It's a marvelous trick, if I say so myself. And on stage number 2, here is something quite new. From a country called From comes this drum-tummied snum, who can drum any tune that you might care to hum. Doesn't hurt him a bit, 'cause his drum tummy's numb. And you'll now meet Foon, the remarkable Foon, who eats sizzling hot pebbles that fall off the moon. And the reason he likes them red hot, it appears, is he greatly enjoys blowing smoke from his ears. Of course, pebbles like this are quite hard to collect, but Sneelock will manage somehow, I expect. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends, and I'm sure he'll help out doing small odds and ends. And on stage number 4, see why Willy Walloo, who can throw his long tail as a sort of lasso. With a flip, that is a hard word to say with a southern accent. With a flip of the hip, with a tail of this kind, he can capture whoever is standing behind. He can capture old Sneelock. I'm sure he won't mind. And now here is a hoodwink who winks in his wink hood without a good wink hood. A hoodwink can't wink good. And folks, let me tell you, there's only one circus with wink-hooded hoodwinks, the Circus McGurkus. The show of all shows, there's no other showman who shows you a show with a blindfolded bowman. The blindfolded bowman from Brigger Barut, the world's sharpest shooter. Look at him shoot. Through the holes in 4 donuts, 2 hairs on a worm, and the knees on 3 birds without making them squirm. And then on through a crab apple up on the head of Sneelock, who likes to help out, as I've said. And now come to this spot where the spotlight is hot. And you'll see in this spotlight a juggling jot who can juggle some stuff you might think he could not, such as 22 question marks, which is a lot. Also 44 commas and also 1 dot. That's the kind of circus McGurkus I've got. But that's just my side show. A start. A beginning. This way to the big tent. Oh my goodness. But that's just my sideshow. A start. A beginning. This way to the big tent. You'll find your head spinning. Why, ladies and gentlemen, youngsters and oldsters, your heads will quite likely spin right off your shoulders. So hurry, step lively, quick, ladies and gents, and get into your seats in all of my tents of all tents. My parade of parades is about to commence. You'll see Drum Major Sneelock fling his baton, and my orang McGurkus, come on, with its hot steaming pipes of gold brass-plated tin, snorting all sorts in bumbling din. That is super stupendous, stupendous, storourous. And when I play Dixie, please join in the chorus. Then a fluff-muffled truffle will hide on a huffle, and the next in line a fine flummox will shuffle. The flummox will carry a lurch in a pail, and a fibble will carry the flummox's tail, while on top of the flummox 3 harp twang and snarp will twang mighty twangs on their 3 snarper harp, while a bolster blows bloops on a 3-nozzled blueser, and Nolster blows floops on a 1-nozzle noozer. And then comes a line who's partly a trap. Then more fluff, more stuff for 45 minutes about. And then, behind them, while everyone stares, come to my to and fro marchers who march in 5 layers. The fros march on 2s, and the 2s march on fros. Don't know how they do it, but that's how it goes. And now, come on. An act of enormous. No former performance performed this performance. This stunt is too grippingly, slippingly frightening. Down from the top of my tent like greased lightning, through pots of full of lots of stickle bush trees slides a man. What a man on his roller skate skis, and he'll steer without fear, and you'll know at a glance that it's Sneelock, the man who takes chance after chance, and he won't even rip a small hole in his pants. And now here in this cage is a beast most ferocious, who's known far and wide as the spotted atrocious, who growls, howls, and yowls the most blood-curdling sounds, and each tooth in his mouth weighs at least 60 pounds. And he, and he chews up and eats with the greatest of ease things like carpets and sidewalks and people and trees. But the Colonel Sneelock is just right kind of a man who can tame him. I'm sure he won't mind. Then I'll let Sneelock off for a few minutes' rest, while high over your heads you will see the best of the world's finest, fanciest breezing trapezing. My Zuma Zoop troop from West Upper Bendazing, who never quite know while they swoop and they zoom, whether which will catch what one, or who will catch whom, or if who will catch which by the what and just where, or just when and just how in which part of the air. Dr. Seuss had to drink a lot when he wrote these books. What's a circus? My circus, my gurkus. My workers love work. They say, work us, please work us. We'll work and we'll work up so many surprises you'd never see half if you had 40 eyes. And now, again, Sneelock, brave Sneelock, is back, risking life on my patented life-risking track, while the speedsters I call colliding collusions race round in swift cars called abrasion contusions. And Sneelock just lies there, not one bit excited. I know he won't mind. He'll be simply delighted. And here is a contest of brute strength and muscle. Kid Sneelock, my champ of all champs, will now tussle and wrestle a beast called Grizzly Ghastly and slap him around. Then he'll slam him down fastly and pin both his shoulders tight flat to the mat. Kid Sneelock will love it. I'm sure about that. And while that goes on there, look at this. Go here. Have you heard of my herd of through horns jumping deer? Every deer jumps through horns of another, pell-mell, while his thorns are jumped through at the same time as well, by a deer whose horns also are being jumped through by another who's having his horns jumped through too, which I'm sure trainer Sneelock can train them to do. Then the whole tent will ring with hoorays and wild shouts when I wheel in my whales and they turn on their sprouts. First, my whale number 1, with an aim that aims true, spouts a spout that spouts Sneelock to whale number 2. And then whale number 2 spouts his spout like a gun. And that spout spouts old Sneelock right back to old whale 1. And then forwards and backwards on spout after spout. My great spout rider, Sneelock, gets spouted about just as long as the water they spouted holds out. Then my tournament nights. Noble apes without fears. Sir Hector, Sir Vector, Sir Bops and Sir Beers, Sir Hawkins, Sir Dawkins, Sir Jocks and Sir Jeers, clatter into the tent while everyone cheers, stage robust about joust with their boxing glove spears. And while all this wild ruckus goes on below, at the top of the tent, look, the star of my show, great daredevil Sneelock, the world's bravest type. He comes pulled through the air by 3 Subrian snap on a dingus contraption attached to his pipe. And while people below are turning chalk white and all biting their fingernails off in their fright, great Sneelock soars up to a terrible height. Then he shakes himself loose. He starts down a dive, such as no man on earth could come out alive. But he smiles as he falls, and no fear does he feel. His nerves are like iron, his muscles like steel, and he plunges down, with his hair still combed neat, 4,692 feet. Oh no. Then he'll land in a fishbowl. He'll manage just fine. Don't ask how he'll manage. That's his job, not mine. I wish you could see the pictures. While he'll be a hero, of course, he won't mind when he finds that he has a big circus behind. And that, my friends, is If I Ran the Circus by Mr. Dr. Seuss. And now I read you a brief synopsis of the wrong story earlier, and I do apologize for such inaccuracy in my reporting. I should be flogged, and I will do so later. Now let's see. We have people watching and asking questions. I love nerds. I do too, if we're talking about the candy. Was it always the same illustrator? I will have to look that up because I don't know. I'm going to guess yes, but I don't know because I haven't investigated that, and it doesn't say. This book, by the way, If I Ran the Circus, yes, was published in 1956. So I'll look that up. Tomorrow I'll have the answer to that question. Was it always the same illustrator? Because I do not know. What else do we got here? I'm sorry about the audio earlier. It looks like I still have it. Katie Ewing. Ben Honeyford. I think you're in New Jersey. I hope you are well. Kate, you are about 30 minutes behind schedule. I had some screw-ups. Let me tell you, I was running around here like a crazy person. I was texting my neighbor to find out if she had any Dr. Seuss books because I thought I had Dr. Seuss, and I didn't have any Dr. Seuss. So we were in crisis mode around here for a minute. Maybe that's why I didn't check the batteries and why the microphone died. I'm not sure. I can tell you this. As I sat there reading that book, If I Ran the Circus, I have a 17-and-a-half-year-old child, and I could remember myself thinking, as I read those to her at bedtime, why are they so long? And if Dr. Seuss was still alive, that is a conversation I would have with him, because he really could have shortened those by about half, and we could have read a book and said goodnight and went on our way. But no, those books are long. So I have one more Dr. Seuss book that I will read, 10 Apples Up on Top. I will get to this tomorrow, but I'm also going to look for some more Dr. Seuss tomorrow. I have to go buy live crickets to feed the lizard tomorrow, so maybe I will drop by the bookstore and see if they are actually open. What is going on over there? Kate, you have no idea. All right, that is it. I'm gonna cut this one short. It's like 30 minutes at this point. Hopefully you have a lovely day. Again, if you are looking for some distraction from all of the craziness, this is fine. I will keep doing these. A friend of mine has created a public Facebook group called Bracket of Champions, and the bracket is 80s music. Voting starts tomorrow or Wednesday. I spent a lot of the day arguing why New Order should be on this list, and he neglected. His name is John Barber, by the way. He lives in Tennessee. He's from Orlando, but if you want to heckle or ridicule anyone, go find him on the internet and tell him that his 80s music choices need to be amended. That is it. My name is Murph. Thank you for tuning in to Reading Things with a Southern Accent 2020, episode 44, because in times like these, we need some nonsense. Have a great night. I will tune in. I will do this again tomorrow, probably earlier than 6 o'clock. So stay tuned. Please wash your hands. Good night.